Once There Came a Man by Stephen Crane. Once there came a man who said, "Range me all men of the world in rows," and instantly there was terrific clamor among the people against being ranged in rows. There was a loud quarrel worldwide, it endured for ages, and blood was shed, by those who would not stand in rows, and by those who pined to stand in rows. Eventually the man went to death weeping, and those who stayed in the bloody scuffle knew not the great simplicity. The first three lines of the poem are, "Once there came a man who said, 'Range me all men of the world in rows.'" In this part, a man comes and has a simple request for everyone that does not involve much from everyone. He just wants them to sort themselves into different categories. The next lines 4 through 8, show the devastating effects that the man had on the world. And instantly there was a terrific clamor among the people against being ranged in rows. There was a loud quarrel worldwide, and endured for ages. So as soon as the people heard about this, they decided how they wanted to do it, sort themselves, and when their ideas didn't match, they started a fight. So these disagreements lasted a long time, but the man was never able to get what he wanted. In lines 9 to 11, it says, "And blood was shed by those who would not stand in rows, and by those who pined to stand in rows." So the long disagreements and arguments have turned to serious fights. Uh, so these fights were between the people who wanted to stay in rows and by those who didn't want to. So these fights show how something simple can turn into a serious fight, and how people tend to overcomplicate things. The last three lines of the poem are what show the message of the poem. Eventually the man went to death, weeping, and those who stayed in the bloody scuffle knew not the great simplicity. So even after the man passed away, the world was never able to complete the task. They remained in conflict and continued fighting each other. In the last line, Stephen Crane mentions the simplicity of the task. The world never tried to just do the task, but instead they were busy fighting. So this poem highlights how many people tend to overcomplicate tasks and are never able to keep it simple. It shows how little disagreements could lead to serious fights, but we should realize not to start escalate to these little disagreements, because they can hinder us from making progress. At the end of the poem, the man has died, but the world still continues to fight with each other. This shows how the people are overcomplicating this task and are busy fighting with each other than actually trying to complete the task. From this poem, we should realize that we should try to stop fighting, as it will stop us from making progress and actually do things, and try to keep things simple.